What's up, guys, and welcome back to this week's episode of the podcast. Hope you guys had a lovely Easter. I had a fantastic time visiting my little brother. It was absolutely lovely. We're currently recording this on Monday midday. I left Southampton about 7:45 this morning. Nice, easy drive home for a change. The M25 was unproblematic, which makes a fucking change. Harry is here, as always. Harry, how you doing?
Hey,
how was your Easter?
Yeah, good.
Did lots of chocolate?
Actually, I did have a bit, but not like that much.
Fair enough. We're going to be talking about the European games today. I'm going to try going forward to keep my explicit language choices to a minimum because my little brother has started listening to the podcast. So I'm going to try and keep the language down. So hi, little man, if you're listening to this, I love you lots. I'm going to embarrass you now. But yeah, so we're going to be talking about the Frankfurt two-legged tie and what our prediction is for the semi-final. We'll talk briefly about the first leg because obviously the second leg was the more important one. First leg for me, really impressed with the performance, really impressed with the work rate. Very, very unlucky not to go through 3-1, maybe 4-1. I thought Bergvall was absolutely sensational. Very, very unlucky not to score. He struck the ball absolutely brilliantly when he hit the bar. Obviously, we hit the bar twice. Twice, was it 3 times in the end?
Right. Well, Romero's header. Was Romero's header?
Romero's header, Bergvall, I'm pretty sure we hit the post as well. I don't know. Yeah. At least, we hit the woodwork at least twice. On the topic of Romero, I thought he played really well in that first leg. Generally, thought everyone played really, really well. Yeah, it was a really professional performance in the first leg. We just missed a little bit of luck. It wasn't, for a change, where the last couple of weeks it's been, we've not really created chances. We created an abundance of chances in that first leg, more than enough to
Son had that comfortably. Chance. I'm thinking Son had that chance, but there was quite. To be honest, our chances, even though some people might label them as big chances, I don't think they were big chances. Like
I think there was 1 or 2 that were big chances, but this is what I'm saying though. I think we created enough. And the kind of we created enough, and we were in their box enough to have scored at least 1 more goal. Even though the chances where we actually came the closest, obviously Romero from the corner, Bergvall from his long shot, a couple of other chances. Son, exactly. I feel like even though the chances that looked most likely to score weren't necessarily the abundant period of chances, I think we did enough to go through that game 2-1, maybe 3-1.
Maybe 2-1 would have been all right. But the problem is, like, with why I have that tie is, okay, they scored the first 5 minutes, or minute, whatever it was. And it was probably definitely not the ideal start, to be honest with you. And then, like, obviously, eventually we equalised. And then we were like 20-minute spell in the second half where we would dominate.
We really, really should have scored. But
then 20 minutes after that, I kind of felt like they controlled the rest of the game, like the last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So
it kind of felt like, in a way, for the last 20, 25 minutes, it kind of felt like they were happy with the point.
They were happy
and
with
they were just
draw,
not a point, but a draw. And I say Vicario made a couple of really, really good saves as well. There was one that he tipped over the bar that was going top corner, which was a really, really good save.
Thing with first legs is that, especially when you play at home first, you can't lose. Like, you just can't lose. No. So the problem is that we should have really won the game. Well, we didn't. It worked out. But on another day, we weren't not happy. Yeah. But the problem is like, if you at home you lose the first leg, you're giving yourself an uphill battle. I know Greece did that against Scotland, where they lost the first leg 1-0 and they won the second leg 3-0 at Hampden Park. That's quite a rarity.
It very rarely happens that teams go away and especially to a team that are so frivolous in terms of scoring goals. You know, they hadn't had a game in almost, what was it, 2.5 years where they hadn't not scored at home. It's crazy, and we'll talk about the second leg in a second. But that first leg for me, that was one of them. No real problem with the performance. Little bit unlucky, little bit more sharpness needed in the final third. I don't think the decision making in the final third was particularly poor. I think we just weren't quite sharp enough. I think that's the best way to describe it. I'm still, and I know it's not going to matter at the end of the season if Ange goes, but I'm still not happy with the fact that Dom Solanke's being run into the ground. He's working his fucking arse off for 90 minutes, week in, week out. He is burning himself into the ground, and he's making a real difference. He's, the press that he starts is unbelievable. But again, it's so frustrating because then he's being blamed by a small proportion of our fans that don't seem to watch Spurs games for not scoring goals, when you and I both know, and we said this last week and we said it the week before as well, you and I both know he's in the right positions. He's spending so much time catching his breath by the time the ball comes to him. He's not got that half a yard that you'd expect him to have.
I'm not expecting, and I said this earlier in the season, so I'm going to stand by it. I'm not expecting him to be a 30-goal a season striker because he's not.
No.
But at the end of the day, I think his goal total was it 7 Premier League goals? 7, I think.
Let me check now. I think he's got.
And that was the goal we scored in the second half was the first goal we scored this year, like in 2025. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, I expect him to score 10 to 15 Premier League goals. Right?
He's had 10 goal contributions in 13 games, so it's a goal contribution every other game in the Premier League, which isn't actually too bad.
Anyway, but I think he's got 7 goals. I think it's 7 goals, right? Isn't it?
Yeah, 7 goals, 3 assists.
What I'm saying is, I'd expect him to hit maybe 13, 14 Premier League goals a season, and he's half that. But then I don't think it's entirely his fault. What I'm saying is,
I think the style of play has played a massive part. I mean, in the Europa League, he's got 3 goals, 4 assists in 10 games. So the numbers are there to show that he can get the goal contributions. I think the biggest problem, and he's got the biggest problem I'm having with him, like I say, is the style of play is not benefiting him at all.
Which is ironic because all these people claim that it would. He would.
It's benefited. Him as a player has benefited the system. The system hasn't benefited him. He's benefited the system because he's that focal point. He's that front press. He's that aggression. He gets stuck up. He forces mistakes. But because he's the one forcing mistakes, he's not on the end of the chances. And something I want to see in the summer, and I know we said about playing Son off of him or playing other players off of him. One of the most important things I think we have to get right about any changes that's come in the summer, or if Ange stays in the summer, God forbid, then I think one of those most important things, absolute priorities, has to be a system where Dominic Solanke can benefit, because he proved at Bournemouth, if you put him in and around that 6-yard box, in between the 6-yard box and the 18-yard box, in that space, he will score goals. He will score goals.
Do you think
but he can't do that if he's constantly running.
Do you think one of our issues are also our wide players? Because Sonny is not exactly as proper. And Johnson, we all know Johnson ain't a winger. So I think
it's the way our wide players are being used that's part of the problem, because Solanke's almost peeling off the defenders so that Johnson can get at the back post, or so that Son can get at the back post, rather than the ball being cut back to him. I don't know if you saw the Aston Villa highlights yesterday.
I watched the game. Yeah.
So that cutback to Asensio, they're the kind of positions I want to see the ball being given to Dom Solanke in, because he will score 9 out of every 10 times from that position. And that's something that's so important for me going forward. And you saw it with Wissa and Mbeumo at the weekend. And I'm not just saying that because Thomas Frank's the choice that I've made, but
they won 4-2.
They were constantly putting it up easy for each other. Constantly easy. And Wissa probably should have scored at least another goal, to be fair. So I think that's a decision that we really have to consider in the summer as a club.
How old is he now? Is he 30 in the summer?
Dom Solanke?
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure he's younger than that. He is...
Was it 29?
He's 28 in September. He's 28 in September. Yeah. So this is really, really an important season for him to really kick on. He's had, but considering the way we've played him, he's had an okay season this season. His running, his work rate, his work ethic, absolutely relentless. Top of the top, no problem with that. Even when he's puffing and panting and looks like he's going to collapse into the ground, he's still running his arse off. That we've said it for years. We want players that are going to work their absolute arse off for Tottenham, and Dom Solanke has epitomised that this season. My problem is the manager's not letting the player get the opportunities, and he knows that, which is why he wanted Solanke to have the penalty in the second leg. He knows that Solanke's not getting the chances. I don't think it's a confidence thing. I think it's just if I'm playing on the wing and you're up front and I cross the ball into you once every 130 minutes, you're going to average 1 goal every 2 games, right? Best case scenario.
That's why I cited the wingers. But do you think then, if we're going to carry on these certain type of wide players, that whoever comes in can't invert the fullbacks, because we're going to have to get some supply from somewhere.
I think whoever comes in has to be someone who plays those fullbacks high and wide. I was talking to a guy that a big Spurs TikTok I replied to his comment the other day, and saying that if United had Udogie and Porro, how much better would they be? Like they'd be high and flying. Udogie, and we'll talk about the second leg in a second, but there's so much quality there, and I'm a firm believer. You know what my stance? I believe wingers are useless. Personally, I believe your wingers should either be inside forwards or not exist at all, and use your fullbacks to create the width, and your centre midfielders to cover the space, and your centre backs pushing wide. That's my footballing philosophy. It always has been. It always will be. Right, but for me personally, we had Son and we had Brennan Johnson playing off of Solanke, all more central. Right, and then we had the fullbacks going on. When they go on, Romero and Porro slip wide, and two holding midfielders or two slightly more defensive midfielders sit back and cover that space. I think Tottenham could be really, really, really effective. And that's where I think someone, we mentioned it before, I know he got battered by Newcastle last week, but that's where I think someone like Glazner and that style of play could really benefit those players because you've got three players that are in and around each other in the box. You've got two midfielders with a can drive forward if they need to, that can come back if they need to. I think Bentancur and Gray would be the perfect partnership in that situation because one will move, one will drop, one will move, one will drop. And then you cover your two centre-backs. So I think we really, really need to get the next manager decision right. And I'm not one of those people that says, I've always been one of those people that says get the manager and then change the players they want. But Porro and Udogie have so much quality, and Spence as well, have so much quality in wide areas. We really, really cannot afford to go and get a manager who tells them to either spend all game defending or tucks them into midfield. I get it. I understand it with Porro a little bit because he's got the passing range. But not like, if we're going to change the manager and change the style completely, then we need to go with someone who's going to push them. I want them on the byline almost every single occasion, and then have either a holding midfielder who drops back into a back three when we're defending, and Romero and Van der Ven push wide, or start with a three and have two centre midfielders or one centre midfielder that covers either gap between the centre-backs. Centre-backs tuck wide. That's what I want to see from Tottenham. Whichever manager we go with in the summer, that's the style of play I want to see, personally. On to the second leg. First of all, absolutely outstanding from every single one of those players on that pitch. There was not a blade of grass that wasn't covered. There wasn't an inch of the pitch that wasn't sprinted on. They worked their absolute fucking arses off. Did we get a little bit lucky? The fact that Christensen fell on loan from Leeds can't score. We did. But every now and again, you get a little bit of luck. Arsenal had a bit of luck when they've won trophies. United have had more than a bit of luck when they've won trophies. Chelsea the same. Liverpool the same. Everyone gets a little bit of luck. For me, that was one of the most professional performances I have seen from Tottenham in the last 2 years. It was absolutely spot on. And before we're talking about the manager, because this is what's going to I'm happy about, but it's going to piss me off at the same time. Before I talk about the manager, first of all, Kevin Danso, absolute unit when he came on. Absolutely brilliant. And I've been really, really happy with him since we signed him. Destiny Udogie, oh my word. What a performance from him. Honestly, he was unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. I thought every single player did really well. Tell a couple of those chances, bend into the far post, a couple of really good saves from their keeper. Madison, for the first time in a long time, I thought he was brave. I thought he was aggressive. I thought he was committed, not committed to the club, but committed to getting a result. The way he ran into that box with no fear, I've not seen him do that since we beat City 4-0. He was absolutely unbelievable. And their keeper, listen, how they even had to go to VAR, I don't know. My little brother said it, penalty, as soon as it came up. And I was like, I don't think it is. I think it's a coming together. You watch the replay. He runs out, waving his arms around, fucking clatters into him. It's a Stonewall penalty, and Dom Solanke puts it away.
I'm quite 50-50 with the penalty because the reason I say this is that it's like referees, for me, give away the soft ones. And then the really, really bad fouls nowadays. I don't know what's happened. Like like they don't seem to do anything about it. I was wondering what game I was watching, and I was like, so you gave the soft one, and they don't give the hard.
To be fair, the reason why I say
I have that penalty is, if his hands were up, right, and he came out and he punched it, and
it would have been a penalty, but it's because he's flapped out like a chicken. That's why it's been given.
So I have a different view on this. I was discussing with my friends about it. So if he came out punching like he did later in the second half, and he missed the ball instead of in the second where he hit it the ball,
Yeah.
Missed it, and then he hit Maddison. It's like, for me, it's definitely a penalty because he made an attempt to get the ball. But in that scenario, I'm quite 50-50 on it because it's like he didn't make an attempt to get the ball; he just ran out.
If anywhere else on the pitch, you go in for a challenge and you make no attempt to get the ball and you take out the player, it's a foul.
Because in the other angle, it looked to me kind of like Maddison ran into him sort of as well.
No, for me personally, Maddison touches the ball first. The keeper if the keeper's, like you say, if the keeper's hands were towards the ball, then yeah, I'd give it. But he's literally flapping around like he's trying to take off.
No, he went like this. His hands were like down like this. If you watch the replay, his hands were down on his side, so he didn't make an attempt to make the get the ball. So I thought it was a bit soft. I'm not saying it wasn't a penalty. I just thought it was a bit soft because, like, he's entitled to come out. He probably changed his mind about going for the ball because the ball was on the floor by that point. But then at that point, his momentum's already in there. And then from one angle, it looks like Maddison ran into him from one angle. And then, so I don't know. Like, I said, I'm quite 50-50 about it. Like,
I mean, I'm watching it now, and yes, his hands are
on his side.
Yeah. They're sort of to his side, but his hands go out as he gets to it. It literally looks like, I'm watching the GIF now, Maddison does head the ball, and the goalie has enough time to move out the way and doesn't. So I do think it is a penalty. But even then, I think if we'd have played that game for another 30 minutes, I think we'd have scored anyway. We looked like the better team. We controlled the game for the most part. Like I say, we covered every inch of grass there was.
I'm just annoyed that these tactics haven't been used for the past 50
Well, we'll talk about that in a second. But just quickly on individuals, I thought Bentancur was absolutely brilliant. Very, very mature performance from him. Van der Ven, I remember when I texted you, but Van der Ven, that tackle in the first half, absolutely brilliant. I thought Romero was very matured, very leadership performance from set pieces. I feel like he did that because he played so well. He needed to get his.
Why did he have to do that? There's no need
to. I thought he was really good, even like organisation from set pieces. You could kind of see that he was pushing players in certain places, and that's a leadership we all know he's got. But he doesn't he picks and chooses when he wants to use it, and that's what frustrates me the most.
I'm not saying sign, by the way. I don't take this to be like I'm jumping on the bandwagon, but like Tell was a lot better.
He was a lot better, yeah.
But I don't know. The thing with him, I just don't know what we're going to do with it because we have so many left wingers. It's like
I think it will depend on who comes in the summer. I think that's the truth with that.
Yeah, because I just don't think in Andrew's system he'll work anyway. Like if we carry on this way.
No. And on the topic of Andrew's system, actually, that moves us nicely on.
Tactics.
So the entire year, all we've spoken about is the fact that this guy refuses to adapt. He makes tiny tweaks, but they're insignificant. And the biggest game of our season, and I've got no problem that he's left it for the biggest game of the season per se, but the biggest game of the season, he brings on a more energetic midfielder, and Sarr ran his fucking arse off from the minute he stepped on the pitch, by the way. Absolutely lethal. Like, this guy just does not stop running. It was crazy. He brings on an engine in midfield. He brings on another centre-back and goes to a back five. He completely changed the shape for the last 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was like, what?
We changed the type of passes we were doing last 10 minutes or so. Yeah. It was a complete and utter adaptation of everything Ange exists for. And to a degree, and I actually tweeted it. I can't remember what I said. I don't know if I'll be able to go back and find it now. Let me see if I can find it. I tweeted about the fact that I don't think it's him necessarily compromising his principles, but the fact that he went and... Let me see if I can find it. Where is it? Not saying he's wrong for this, but Ange going to backfire when he refuses to show he can change to that game in any game he's managed us in the past. Just shows how bad he wants to win, compromised all of his principles. And it's interesting because I've not got a problem that that's what he's done. I've got a problem with the fact that why has it taken so long to do this?
Yeah.
You know? To me, the fact that he's doing this now tells me that if we do win that trophy, he's leaving anyway.
You think?
He's going to leave on a high. He'll resign going, first European trophy since the 1900s, first trophy in like 16 years, 17 years, however long it's been. I leave on a high. That's how I see it going. Because why can you not adapt for an entire season? Think of how much higher up the table we could be.
We would be like maybe challenge of Champions League spots, right?
Like his in-game management in that game was absolutely so incredibly spot on. But it was unbelievable.
Well, I noticed he was way more involved, and the reason I say this is because he told Tell to give Solanke the ball for the penalty.
Yeah.
And I was like,
that again is another example of him knowing that his style is hindering Solanke's confidence. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? I did tweet saying that we mentioned it on the podcast a couple of weeks back about Bergvall. That performance from Lucas Bergvall, that second leg was unbelievable. The maturity compared to what it was when we spoke about him after the first couple of games, where we said, listen, he looks too lightweight, doesn't look confident enough. We can't tell whether he wants to defend, whether he wants to drive it, or whatever. We're really seeing him develop into a regular first team player now. Which is crazy from where we were.
I just don't know what his function is in the team. Like, as in, is he the only thing I've come up with so far is that he's carrying the ball. Like,
he's a ball carrier, yeah, I think so, yeah.
That's about it, but that's basically makes him a number 8, I guess. I mean, I don't know what else.
I think so, yeah.
And the problem with the system is, like, whilst Benskool does a job in that number 6, he's not really a number 6. Like,
no.
If we need to go out and sign someone really experienced, ironically, we've loaned out Højbjerg, but maybe we would be a good partner for him. I don't know. But like a proper number 6 with experience to play alongside him, because he needs to benefit from someone experienced alongside him that can.
I think it all depends on what manager comes in the summer. Yeah. It's hard to kind of.
Another issue we have now is because we've got Bodo Glimt next. If we somehow win it, like, do you think?
We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
But I got one last thing. So at 10:15 on the before 10:15, but in a group chat with some mates of mine, I turned around and said that because someone said, "Oh, Lazio made a comeback. You're going to struggle against them." So I said, "Game's still going. Anything can happen while there's one goal in it. Reckon if they can squeeze it to pens, Lazio go out." And my mate replied to it like an hour and a half later, going, "Yeah, fair play." So I got that spot on. Should have put a bet on that. Do you know what? I do think Bode Glimt, I do think will go through. I don't think you look at some of the teams they've lost to, as good as they've been this season, they've lost to a lot of shit teams still. They lost to teams in the rounds before that. In the league phase, they lost to Karabag. They lost to, I can't remember the list. They lost to a bunch of teams that we know we can beat comfortably. So I really think we can get a result. And I think if we go and win 3-0 in the home leg, I think that's game over. I think 3-0 is the magic number. I think if we can win 3-0 or better, I think that's the tie over.
Because they beat Lazio 2-0.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to be like I expect. Like, on paper, we should go through.
Yeah.
The problem I have with someone like Bodo Glimt is that because they're the first Norwegian team to get to, like, this stage, like, the whole country and, like, there's so many
semi-professional, like 12 years ago.
Psychological factors to this as well. Like, as in, they're not going to give up. Like, what I've noticed about them, every game
they won't give up. They won't give up.
So, like, even that Lazio game, like, I know you said they go to penalties, but, like, no one in their right mind would have thought Bodo Glimt was going to score a header in, like, the last, whatever it was. To beat someone like Lazio, even though I guess I don't know how to say it. Basically,
Lazio's penalties were awful, by the way. I watched them while I watched the United game.
I watched the United game after ours, and then I watched the penalties.
Yeah, I had the penalties on my phone and United game on TV.
Yeah, literally. But like,
I do think it's all on Spurs to go and it's all on Spurs to go and get the job done in the first leg, and I think we will do that.
But I don't know, because the thing is, I think they'll come to Spurs right, and they'll just park the bus.
I think so. I think this is where it can benefit us, because if Bergvall can just keep going with that extra little bit, and Maddison can keep going with that extra little bit, the problem when you play against a team that park the bus is the minute you get one goal,
you have to open
Spurs have a period where we suffocate teams after a first goal. The minute you get that second, they have to come out. You're more likely to go and get the third, go and get a fourth, maybe whatever. I think we are due to score from a set piece. Ironically, we're both going to the Nottingham Forest game tonight. So as we're recording this, we'll get the set piece against Forest instead. That'd be quite an irony, wouldn't it? But I think we're due a set piece. I can see us winning that first leg 3-0.
I mean, we should win the first leg, but I don't know. I just think these kind of teams are sometimes quite tricky because, like I said,
they are. But I do think we've got enough.
I didn't expect them to beat Lazio, let alone go through. So
and it's great because we've got a nothing game at the weekend that we can rest all the players from, so it's all right.
Well, beforehand, is it West Ham away? I think.
No, it's Liverpool.
Oh, because Liverpool first, then I think West Ham is before the second.
Yeah. So we're quite lucky that it kind of falls in the time where we haven't really got any important games to worry about. Who would you rather in the final? I actually tweeted this and it hit I'm still getting replies to it now. It hit 4.8k impressions or some shit. It was crazy. Let me see if I can find it. 12k impressions now. So I said, let's say we do make it to the final, who would you rather? The replies were, if you said Bilbao in their own stadium, you're stupid. United all day. United. Definitely Bilbao. Doesn't matter. We're losing either way. Brilliant. Bilbao, if we're going to win, let's do it in an unforgettable way that we talk about forever. Plus, United lost just 3 times already. Those players will have a massive mental edge. I don't think this person knows what mental edge is, but okay. United because Bilbao will have the home advantage. United, Bilbao have apparently been getting dodgy decisions in their favour, so probably United. That being said, United know how to win finals hell of a lot better than we do. United don't want Bilbao to have an advantage. Bilbao, United definitely worse team in this Bilbao, so they'll know their pitch. Won't have to travel, well, there's 50-50 capacity. I can see them ending up with more. We've beaten United 3 times already. Doubt it will do again. Bilbao, personally...
Neither.
Man United on paper is the easiest. Beat them 3 times this season, but of course we'll lose them in the final. Let's focus on Bo Dimp right now. Says a person with Thomas Frank as their profile picture. I wouldn't have Bilbao have the home advantage. I don't know. Just want to focus on Bo Glimt for now. United, not Bilbao at home. What's your thoughts?
Neither. I don't.
Well, you've got to play some. Do you just want us to get knocked out in the semi-final?
I just, you know what? If we play Bilbao, it's a massive disadvantage because it is their home ground, right? Bear in mind, of course, I hate to reference them, but I can't think of anything else. Chelsea obviously won the Champions League in 2012 at Bayern. So it's not out realms possibility. My worry about United is even when they were rubbish, even under Ten Hag and whatever, they just kept winning trophies. And against the one game where it actually matters, they might just beat us. I mean,
if you had to choose one or the other, who would you rather play?
If I had to, Bilbao.
Really?
Yeah.
See, now I can't sit on the fence because you've actually given an answer.
You thought you could escape, not?
I'm going to say United.
Yeah,
I'm going to say United.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to say United. I think, first of all, my bar was a United fan and his brother's a Tottenham fan, so it'd be so fucking funny to go in there saying that we won. I just think we have a mental edge over United. I think if we were to play Man United, it would be very similar to the final against Liverpool, where not a lot happens and the goal's sealed right at the end.
Didn't they score right at the beginning?
Yeah, but that goal, in my mind, that goal didn't count because it was never a goal in the first place. So touchwood, I can see, as long as we've got all the players fit, I can see it being a 75th, 76th, 77th, 80th minute, someone wins 1-0. I reckon 80th minute, Pat Matasar from a rebound from a corner, Tottenham 1, United 0. Tottenham are European champions. That's what I'm going for.
We're not even there yet, but anyway.
Hey, listen, if we get there. Next week, we're going to talk. We're waiting until. We're waiting until the seasons, till we know what's happening with Europe before we do like an end of squad review. I'm going to see if Dan will come on again to do an end of season review.
I'm trying to think because next week will be after Liverpool, won't it?
Yeah, let me work out. So
after Forest and Liverpool, and then we've got West Ham on the weekend.
So the next one we record, so this one's going to answer. So the next one we record will be
28, wasn't it? Will be the 28.
So Monday the 12th of May, that'll be talking about the Europa League stuff. So it's about when my MOT is due, actually.
That's the long one.
So next week we'll talk about
28.
Arsenal losing the league. That'll be fun. And we can just have kind of sort of like a general season chat. I don't know, it's going to be difficult.
Next one will be after Forest and Liverpool. So
the 12th we'll be talking about the European game.
Depending on what obviously happens.
Depending on what happens. Well, we'll still talk about it anyway, regardless of what happens. And then at some point, like I say, at the end of the season, we'll do a keep, loan, sell for the whole squad. I realise the episodes have been quite short, but we always kind of knew they would be.
The problem is, like, if we were still in the top 7 or 8 and we're still a few
then
points...
Then every game matters. Right now, there's no point talking about any of the
Premier League games. And then, Europa League is the only thing that matters. And then, I don't know, like, for example, tonight we're going. Is he going to rest players? I don't know. Because we've still got, 10 days or whatever it is to the European game.
I was really happy with the thumbnail for the Forest one. Did you see that? A photo of Ryan Mason in the background, just camping and waiting. I think there is a lot to come from the summer, and it's hard to talk about the plans for the summer until we know what happens with Europe. I personally think if he wins it, he will leave on a high. If he loses, he'll get sacked.
Whatever happens, he's gone, basically.
I did say, my stepdad did point out, he said, if we do win it, then our managerial options in the summer might change.
Oh, yeah, because obviously...
Because imagine now you can sit there and go to someone, for argument's sake, who'd be my only top coach that I'd probably want to go for. Go to someone like Inzaghi and go, listen, play a back three, you've got Bentancur, you've got Gray, you've got Bergvall, we can get you another midfielder, you've got Spence... You've got Porro, you've got Udogie, you've got Van der Ven, you've got Romero, and I think a coach of that level would probably keep Romero another year, if I'm being honest. You've got Danso, who I'd probably play on the wide with Romero in the middle. Vicario, Italian goalkeeper, knows him quite well from playing against Marseille. You can play Solanke off of Son. You can play Brennan Johnson off of Solanke. Like, I feel like we've got a lot of options I feel like we'd maybe need another centre-back, a backup left wing-back, and a centre midfielder. And we might not even need another striker if we're not playing with wingers. Then all of a sudden you've got Tell, Son, Solanke, Selby Charlison. Do you know yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like we need a lot for someone like Inzaghi to be successful with the squad we've got.
The thing with Inzaghi is, unless Paratici comes, I don't see it happening.
I think it could happen if we get Champions League football.
But I'm saying I think Paratici needs to come in for it to have any chance, to be honest.
Maybe.
Because I just don't see how he'll come, especially if Inter Milan, they're semi-finals, right, aren't they?
Semi-finals of Champions League, yeah.
So if they
I think if he wins the Champions League and he wins Serie A, he'll go. I think Inzaghi will leave. Because at that point, he's been at Inter Milan for ages. He'd have won everything he needs to win. I think at that point, then I could seriously see him moving on.
Simone, right? It's not Filippo Inzaghi. It's Simone, isn't it? It's his brother.
Yeah.
Because I remember Inzaghi, the striker, in it.
Yeah, it's not that one. It's the other one.
It was insane.
I'll say one thing, though. I do think if we do move to playing a back three, which is obviously my preference in the summer, if Romero goes, I'd like to see us sign Mark Guehi.
We will live with him.
I think him, Danso, Van der Ven would be a great back three. It's got height, it's got strength, it's got pace, it's got passing ability. Romero, Porro, and Udogie.
Spence.
And Spence, yeah. I think there's definitely.
I think we're going to have to go and sign centre half. We'll go to back three regardless, and then if Romero goes, it'll have to be 2 because we just need to fill. Yeah. Unless they're going to promote.
We've got Vescovic coming back. Ashley Phillips has played a really good season with Stoke in the end. Whether he'll stay or go on loan, I don't know.
I don't know.
We're definitely in for an interesting summer.
It depends a lot on the manager. Like, if we get knocked out of the semi-finals, we will know he's gone. 100%.
Yeah. What do you make of, completely off topic, not Spurs related, what do you make of Real Madrid not letting Ancelotti see out the season? It's a bit of a weird one, isn't it?
They're ruthless.
But whoever they're going to bring in is not going to beat Barca to the title now. It's a bit late. So why are you letting him play the Copa del Rey final and then get rid of him 3 games before the title's done? It wouldn't make any sense.
I think they're probably just planning, because I heard all the stuff I watch now tells me they need a massive rebuild. I don't really watch the league much anymore.
Yeah, they've kind of bought loads of players without really adapting them to a style of play. I'm surprised he didn't go for a diamond against Arsenal, to be fair. I think the control of the midfield would have made a massive difference.
He went a 4-4-2 in the first leg, which is quite interesting. I was like...
Yeah.
But maybe he's just... Don't remember, how old is Ancelotti now? Isn't he like... 80?
Oh, God.
He must be like 70.
64, I think.
Oh. So he hasn't got probably many years left in management anyway.
He's just turned... Oh, no. He's 65. He's just turning 66. So that's not bad.
I mean, he probably doesn't have a lot.
He's got a 70. He had a 53% win rate at Chelsea, 64 at PSG, 70 at Real Madrid, 72 at Bayern, 62 at Napoli, 46 at Everton, and 72 at Real Madrid. That's mental, isn't it? Chelsea, PSG, Real Madrid, Bayern, Napoli, Real Madrid, Everton. Yeah, I think he'll probably call it quits now.
He probably might do one more job, and then that's it.
To be fair, I could see. I know AC Milan are supposedly need a massive rebuild. I could see him going to AC Milan.
Maybe, yeah.
Go back to AC Milan, build a big diamond
3-4 years.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. I think he's probably got one more job left in him. It's like Jose. He's on it. He's clearly, on a. He's nearing the end, of his tenure as a manager. It's a shame because all these old school managers are going to not be here anymore.
There's supposedly rumours in Turkey about Jose wanting to come back to Spurs. What do you make of it?
Huh?
I think it's bullshit, but what would you...
Who's reporting this? I have to read this.
Oh, fuck knows.
Okay.
I can't read Turkish.
Now. But why would he want to come back to Tottenham? That's a bit weird.
My point exactly. I'd love him back, but...
I would, but I don't think him and Lee will get on.
No. I was watching the Amazon documentary with my little brother over the last few days, and Jose called Dele Alli a lazy cunt.
Yeah.
And the brother's like, I know what that means. You don't need to beep it out. And it was so funny. Oh my god, it was so funny. And then his mum was like, I can't believe how much he swears. He swears. I do miss Jose. Yeah,
Jose's lovely. He's just like...
It's hard to really talk. We're pretty much in no man's land now until the season's finished. We don't really know what's going on.
I think, like I said, if we somehow don't beat Bodo Glint, he's definitely gone.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just a very Spurs thing that we would lose to a team like that as well. Like it's just everyone's like, we'll be an easy game. We'll destroy them.
It is, but I would say the level of performance we put in against Frankfurt, and especially in that second leg, gives me real confidence that we can make it to the final.
Bear in mind also we'll be playing on a plastic pitch in the second leg, so I'm sure if we lose that game, we know what Ange's going to say. It's
no different than playing it.
Pitch.
No, I was going to say something mad.
But what I'm saying is, I don't know.
Question, right? One last question. We'll end it on this. Would you rather win the Europa League and Arsenal win the Champions League, or not win the Europa League and Arsenal don't win the Champions League?
Not win the Europa League.
As pathetic as that mentality is, I probably have to agree with you. And on that note, we'll wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for watching this week's episode of Two of Our Own. Make sure you drop us a like. Make sure you give us a 5-star review on Spotify. That'd be much appreciated. I know not as many people have tuned in the last couple of weeks because obviously it's been a bit of a down-up. But we're still here. We'll still be here every week. I know Harry's away at some point in the summer. I'm not away now until the 22nd of July, which is my little brother's birthday. So, yeah, we'll be up recording in the summer. I have actually got, my stepdad bought me, this was a couple of weeks back actually, I forgot to tell you, he bought me a Call Yourself a Spurs Fan at Tottenham Hotspur quiz book. So, at some point when we need an episode, I'm going to turn into the quizmaster and embarrass Harry. So that'll be one of the episodes that we do sort of when we get to the end of the season. Maybe we have a week where we're struggling for stuff. Might do a quiz episode. I think that'd be quite cool.
I think it all depends. Like if Ange goes, of course there are going to be episodes about speculation about the next manager, and then if we do get the next manager, there'll be something about that.
Then we talk about that and how we're going to set up, what players are going to stay, what players are going to go. I think we'll definitely do, if we got next out of the Europa League the week after, we'll definitely do a keep, loan, sell as a whole for the squad, because I think there's a lot of players that maybe we would have opted to sell that we might not now, and there's a few players that I would sell that maybe Spurs fans wouldn't. I know I got a lot of hate for one of them the other day on Twitter. So yeah, me and Harry are going to, you guys are seeing this on Friday, so you already know. We're going to Nottingham Forest game this evening, and we'll be heading to London in about 3 hours. I haven't eaten, actually. I've eaten a Rolo Easter egg today, and that's it, because I had that when I got in.
I'll probably have some toast, even though we're going to eat chicken at 5.
Yeah. Harry, I'll see you in a bit. I'll talk to you.
Yeah, see you in 3 hours.
See you in 3 hours, yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, give us a 5-star review. And as always, come on you Spurs!
You Spurs.